everybody, it's Romania Black and Bromania!
Yo.
Discord asked if they could call you Bromania. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Cool. So Romania and Bromania are here to discuss episode 5 of Arcane. We're halfway through the second act, and last week, Paint the Town Blue, there was a lot of blue, also a lot of red at the end, and some green, and basically, you know, no big deal, just Warwick. just
a very violent rainbow.
A very violent rainbow is very akin for Arcane. So we've actually got quite a few comments that I want to get to, and some of those comments, what I like about Arcane is that it gives a lot of discussion and kind of divisive views about the characters. It almost feels like a social experiment where it's kind of like Attack on Titan. They want to see like, what camp are you going to vote for? What person are you going to follow? Who are you going to empathize more with? And that's kind of the point. The point is that they're all struggling and they're all dealing with things, and it just depends on what you yourself maybe relates more to, whether that determines you feeling more sorry for Jinx or feeling more empathetic towards Vi or not the trollop. That's for sure. But anyway, so we've got some comments. Pancake, who is the moderator for the channel to make sure I'm not getting any spoilers from the comments, did point out that in episode 1 of season 1, Ambessa did mention the sun and wanted Hextech originally to get vengeance on the people that killed that person. So he was inadvertently mentioned in season 1, but like it was like the opening scene of her introduction. So okay. That's been a while. So, but that is good to know that he was briefly mentioned before this last episode. Pancake also noted that a lot of the people in the comments, Pancake was just the first one to comment, they kind of talked about Jinx's self-sacrificial nature, and that Pancake thought that that Jinx probably was planning on dying last episode, or in the episode where her and Vi were fighting. She was planning on dying, and then that's why she's like, things didn't go how they were supposed to. She thought that Vi was going to kill her, or she thought, which that kind of checks out, because she's like, I mean, last episode, she held up the grenade to try to kill her and Warwick, and then that didn't work. So she does have kind of like a self-sacrificial nature to her. So that kind of tracks with her character. Yeah. That makes sense. Song commented and said that the gray was locked away already and the ventilation was working. The gases that the fissure has are not the gray, they're still just toxic. Kate and the party released the gray on purpose. Do you agree with that? I mean, sure.
I could see it, but they also, Smee and them, he knew about the gray.
Yeah, Smeech and them knew about the gray too, so I mean, it is what it is. The gray is now out in the open. So at the end of the day, it's still being used to harm people. So yeah. The hows and whys, I mean, both parties are using it in inappropriate ways. So again, it's like pick your poison, pick your sides, right? Arcane Shio, 6406 said, when Jinx let Silk go down for the first time in episode 2, I forgot about the part in season 1 where he was born in the river. Like he was like, the river was connected to his being. So him being laid to rest, we didn't talk about it in episode 2, but it kind of was a nice full circle. I didn't get to talk about that, but I hadn't realized that. I forgot that him and Vander had that whole discussion about it. So that's really cool. It's a nice little come around and tie back. So, okay, Lyndon and Alexander Q have different views on this topic, and I know how my brother's probably going to swing on this, and I have thoughts about it. And I think it's cool. I think that nobody's wrong. We just all have different opinions, and we can agree. My brother's smiling. He's like, you're being very diplomatic. I'm like, we can agree to disagree. My brother and I are both Tauruses, so we're very stubborn and set in our ways. But for the sake of the show, I do think it's important that we note that there's lots of, these characters have a lot of issues and a lot of bad decisions are made by everyone. No one is making great decisions overall. Everybody's doing flawed things. So Lyndon places, they said that Heimerdinger needs to carry more responsibility for things. My brother's face instantly, bruh. But hear me out. We're gonna hear what they say. That Heimerdinger carries a lot of responsibilities for things, in my opinion. He's basically one of those Silicon Valley types that every time you bring up social issues, tries to come up with a technological solution. He just kind of watches things get bad over the course of the entire life of a city, but now seems surprised by it. Now, I'll disagree with that, because I think that Heimerdinger did try to speak out about it, but the council was like, no, go away, we're kicking you off. And I do think Heimerdinger kind of falls into line with a lot of time traveling. I mean, I know Heimerdinger's not a time traveler, but he's an old soul, and you'll probably agree with this, that he's very idealistic in that he keeps thinking that society's not going to make the same mistakes. He's like, well, they won't go as far as they did in the past. And that is his problem. You're going to say something.
The first time we met Heimerdinger, he told Jayce, don't mention magic. You'll be able to get off with a slap on the wrist. You'll still be able to build things in secret. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
What does Jayce do? He mentions magic.
Yeah.
He tells the council we shouldn't be messing with magic.
Mm-hmm.
What did the council allow Jayce and Viktor to do? They start messing with magic. He tells Jayce and Viktor, you need more safeguards.
Mm-hmm.
What do they not do? Make more safeguards.
Yeah, Lyndon says that Heimerdinger was obliviousness to the corruption of the council, but I don't agree with that. I think that Heimerdinger knew that there was a potential for corruption, but at the end of the day, Heimerdinger's this yardle that they didn't respect or take seriously. What's he gonna do? Like, what's he gonna do to Mel? Kick her in the shins? Like, at the end of the day, Heimerdinger, his biggest fault would be that maybe he was too idealistic and didn't do enough. But I think it would be kind of naive, in my opinion, to say that he was oblivious and didn't see... he knew that it was always going to be a possibility. He's lived through this history repeating itself. He just keeps being idealistic and hoping that it's going to change in the future.
He hoped they weren't stupid enough to make the same mistake.
And Jayce surprised us all by being as stupid as we think he is. He's our himbo, right? But to be fair, Alexander Q does point out this about Jayce, saying Jayce just casually demonstrates how little actual thought he gave to the consequences of Hextech by not even thinking of Zahn possibly being affected by it. It really proves Heimerdinger's point, and I kind of love it, though. I think it's easy to get lost in the type of innovation and possibility that Jayce does, and you get narrow focused on something and ignore everything that should be so obvious, but is a real struggle. And the thing that makes Jayce both incredibly hilarious is also how thoroughly he fails to make things better, but it's also very human in how he is in that process. And yeah, so I mean, I'm going to defend Heimerdinger a little bit on my end. I think that I do like the idea of Heimerdinger being kind of like Silicon Valley, so I like that. But I do think that he did try. It's just, it's like when somebody that has all this wisdom goes up to a bunch of people and they're corrupt and they're like, well, we're not going to listen to you, we're going to do it anyway. Kind of like scientists, and when they tell people to not frack and do things, and they're like, we're going to do it anyway. And it's like, okay, cool. You're going to see how bad this turns out. And they're like, we don't care. So it's like one of those scenarios. But Jayce, I love Jayce. And I do like the idea of how human he is, because we can all relate to it and be like, oh, you're making this horrible decision. But if we were in the same situation as he is, would we make different choices? I mean, we probably would, but... can we honestly say? But I love those comments, and I am all for, like, nobody's wrong in here. It's fine if you think Heimerdinger is more at fault. I love talking about it and having these discussions about it. It's all lots of gray areas, which is fun, right? My brother's a big Heimerdinger fan, so as soon as that comment came up, I'm like, Mwahaha! I'm sure we're recording this before episode 4 has come out. I'm sure there's some real big Trollop fans that are going to be super annoyed that I don't like her and Caitlyn. And they're going to be like, but that's our ship. And I'm going to be like,
Maddie.
What?
Her name is Maddie.
Maddie, yes. Maddie in Romanian is Trollop. I don't know if that's true or not. Don't quote me on that. I don't know Romanian. But I'm sure there are some people that like the ship of Caitlyn and Maddie. Good for you. Keep shipping. I just don't want on that boat. I'm going to sail in my little adjacent Vi and Caitlyn dinghy and just paddle myself on.
Don't worry, I'm tossing life jackets to the rest of you.
My brother's going to toss life jackets as everything goes down with the ship. I have a feeling that a lot of my ships are going to crash and burn this season, but we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe not. So, I'm pretty excited, y'all. We've wasted enough time, but thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for watching with us. We're so excited, but we need to start episode 5. I'm so excited to see it. Oh, and it's a longer episode, too. Yay! But we're going to get this started here, unless the credits are just really long. We're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. We have so much to talk about. Okay. Okay. I guess we should go back to the start. So this opening. Okay, there is a lot in this episode that they don't show us. There's a lot that they do show us. There's a lot that they don't show us. And I have a feeling that next episode they're gonna have to backtrack with Jayce for sure. Because there was a lot that they were just like, here he is with the beard, looking about 10 years older. What? Although beards do make people look older, so it could be like a year. He doesn't have to necessarily be that much older. But, and I know there are two things. One, they're probably going to reveal a lot of this to us later. And two, you know a lot more going on in this episode than I do. So we're going to tread cautiously. Because I want to have faith the show's going to tell us things. But you were over there, several times like like a gremlin, you know what's coming. How dare you? So let's talk about this episode. So blisters and bedrock. I'm glad we got to figure out what that meant for this, because you might as well have called this episode Blood is Thicker Than Water. You might as well have called that this episode.
There's plenty of water and blood.
Both, and also the idea of family and the ties that, and I like the idea that blood was a center focus of this episode with the Black Rose. It was a center focus with Isha and the whole, like, the blood leading Vander to them. It's, Jayce just killed Sallow, maybe, and that was a thing. There's a blood splurt. I don't think that Sallow is alive unless, he looked like he clocked him in the head. Unless he disappeared. Unless he just vanished into a blue bloop and went back to Viktor. Maybe he did. Maybe, because I'm like, would Jayce commit murder right in front of our eyes instead of just grabbing the hex tech away from him? Like,
he's clearly seen some crap in the Arcane.
Clearly, but I mean, he could have just grabbed. I mean, Sallow didn't look like a fighter. He could have just grabbed the cores back from him and knocked him out. But I mean, I wondered if when he, like, struck the hammer down and he went like this, it was just like him vanishing and going back to Viktor and just leaving the... But I don't know. I don't know that. We don't know till next episode. But yeah, so we get the whole fighting rink thing. So the one guy... Now, you said in the game they did tell you his name?
I think it was Lauren.
Lauren. Okay, but we don't know anything else about him yet. So... But it seemed like he tried to help her out for a little bit at first. Yeah. And then she kind of, like, made him go away. I love the animation in this series, and making Vi, like, have abs and looking, like, all ripped and like an MMA fighter was really fun. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Mikasa from Attack on Titan a little bit, and, like, the Isayama's, like, MMA version of her, which is great. I like the black hair with Vi. I like that. Vi goes into a, like, crow, like, Brandon Lee, emo, dark phase to get through all of it in response, but Vi's not the best in coping. It also, yeah, and then she, like, succumbs to, like, the booze, and I really like the opening sequence, though. I love her jacket with the 2 hellhounds on it.
She's pretty much on path of self-destruction.
Right, which Jinx has done the same thing. Both of them, and I think that the episode brought up a really good point that when they are separated and they're not working together, they both kind of are self-destructive in their own ways until they get brought back together, right? And Isha's kind of helped out with that too. But man, and I like just little things the episode does, like the accumulation of, like, the alcohol bottles over there. They did all of that. And then, like, her practicing and all of that. And it just, and then the more she gets into the alcohol and, like, the paint starts to fade and the hair starts to fade and she starts, like, losing bets and all of that. Like,
losing bets, picking fights.
Mm-hmm. And then clearly, like, things are just going her way. And eventually it looks like the one guy, Lauren, like, leaves her. Mm-hmm. He, like, kind of gives up on her and he's like, then if you don't want my help, fine, I'll leave. And that's when Jinx comes in. Right? What is this Mario-ass looking guy? I was fighting her for a hot second. What? I wonder if there were some cameos there. But yeah, what did Jinx write on?
She wrote Jinx.
On her face?
Yeah.
Oh, she did, didn't she? Only it's backwards, so it'll show up in the mirror as Jinx. That's clever. That's cute. It is interesting that Jinx goes back to her because Jinx is like, oh, Vander's back. We need to address this together.
Well, she knows she's broken.
Yeah.
She knows she can't help Vander. Mm-hmm. Because she's too broken herself. Mm. They both need Vi there to help try to keep them grounded.
That's a good point, that Jinx has such little self-respect for herself.
And Vi needs them so she can get back on the wagon.
To get back on the wagon, yeah. So it is, like, it's so weird that we've come so far from season 1 where they all got broken apart, and now it's this monster mash of them coming back together. And then you take in the ties that him living, Vander being alive as Warwick, is able to bring Vi and Jinx back together, but him being alive is what Singed wants to use to reincarnate his daughter and bring her, to resurrect his daughter and bring her back. Which, you keep your thoughts to yourself. I don't want to, not one word. My brother made a face. He's like, I'm like, I don't want to hear anything. Nope, we're going to find out. Did he not seem like Mr. Freeze, though? Did not seem like Mr. Freeze. I don't want spoilers. Just, it's a yes or no.
It's not a spoiler. It has to do with the game.
But I don't know, because then the show might address it. So
it's about a skin you can get. You say that he's Mr. Freeze. He has a skin that makes him look like Bane.
Oh! Well, that would tie with the shimmer and, like, all the drugs and everything, so that would be...
He's got, like, the big beefy arm.
Like Trogdor. I was thinking of, like, Mr. Freeze in terms, like, his wife was in the cryogenic tube and his whole experiments were trying to bring her back to life, and this is with the daughter. It's just the same thing, right? Yeah, seemingly. I also got Seraph of the End vibes with that. Have you read the manga for Seraph of the End?
A little bit.
Yeah, there's so, like, the character Mika and everything, there's a little bit with that character that was giving me vibes with that as well.
Basically, he's trying to do the same thing Jayce and Viktor were. They're messing with forces that should not be tampered with so recklessly.
Exactly, yeah. Well, there's the parallels there. All of these different stories are just different people in power tampering with forces they shouldn't be messing with. You've got whatever the Black Rose is, and I know you said blood mages. I don't want to know anything about the Black Rose, because they're going to tell us. Maybe. So I want to find out from the show. But I'm not surprised if it was blood magic. I mean, there's blood bending in Avatar and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. But they're messing with forces that are beyond their means. Viktor has suddenly been like, I can save everyone. It's like, oh no, have we gone off the deep end? I thought, like, wee, it's like a Patrick Star in SpongeBob. Wee.
He's just standing there. Menacingly.
That's why I figure Viktor is like red flag, because Victor's like, let's not tamper with this, and he's like, actually, I'm doing amazing work. It's like, oh
no, we're gonna put it in everybody.
Yeah, and so then you have, like, Viktor thinks he's doing good because he thinks he's helping the people now. Jayce is like, oh, I just found out that I had a revelation that this is all shit, but we're using the hex tech as well, so we're making bad decisions. Heimerdinger's like, well, maybe if we use it responsibly, but that's not worked in 300 years.
Everybody's just swap personalities.
Everyone is just, they're all trying to use this power to help their own causes, which is very human and very understandable, but they're all flawed in different ways. So it's just, and it's all coming together that everyone's screwed.
Well, we don't know what happened to Heimerdinger and Echo.
No, we don't know where Heimerdinger and Echo are. We don't know where they... Because, yeah, we've only seen Jayce, which we'll get to.
He looks like he came from, like, the Terminator series.
Yes! So, when we get to that shot of Jayce, there were, like, little close-ups. I want to go back and see what those close-ups are, but we got to get to it. I love that shot of her in the cracked mirror. There's been a lot of stuff with cracked mirrors in Jinx and Vi, which I'm really... This episode was great because they got to get back together and kind of clear each other up, which was fun. Okay, so Ambessa's like, oh... this big-ass monster that we could use as a weapon to stop the Black Rose, probably. And if the Black Rose is tied to blood, well, if you used Vander on that, he'd probably go crazy. There'd be too much blood, and he'd just start mauling everything and destroying everything, and it'd be like a big melee, possibly. But then I would be terrified, because the Black Rose would probably kill Vander, like just get rid of him.
I mean, did you see what they did with the one lady?
Yeah, they just blew her up. So yeah, like, just
wasn't blown up. They contracted it so much that she became a twig.
Yeah, so we would just want to keep Vander away from them, basically. Speaking of blood, Caitlyn looked like a vampire this entire episode. Caitlyn was trying to be intimidating against Singed, and that whole thing, I was like, girl, you are not, like, Singed was, like, with Silco that whole time, you're not going to do anything to intimidate him. That ain't gonna work. Did you think that she was gonna have a chance of intimidating him?
No, look at him.
Yeah, no! She's like, I'll put you in a dark cell. He's like, that's kind of where I was the last 20 years. Like, no, thank you. No. And Ambessa's just like, oh, you look like somebody that could work for me. And we could try that.
And he recognized her having the same look Silco had.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is interesting to know, because last episode, and you were really good about not spoiling me, but last episode I was like, I don't know what Singe's MO is. And it's that he's wanting to heal his daughter. That is the thing. He doesn't necessarily care about Vander, but he knows Vander's creation could mean a way for him to resurrect his daughter. His whole thing is that he thinks Vander's mind wasn't intact until he saw powder in them. And then he's like, oh, I thought I had failed again. But then it was like, oh, no, wait. I just need the right catalyst. So, interesting. His daughter kind of looks like Sallow. So there's that. But yeah, she's like, you're going to rot in this dungeon. And he's like, no. So, okay. Did you think the whole time, up until when he was creepily behind her, did you think that it was the actual brother? Or did you think it was a fake?
Fake.
You thought it was a fake the whole time?
Oh, come on. Use a loved one trapped in a pit where he doesn't look like he's suffered a day in his life, even though he's down in a pit.
Okay. Look.
He's wearing clean white clothes.
Okay. Well, when you
if he came out of those shadows in like rags, like a sunken in face from malnourishment and dehydration, I would have believed it. But he comes out of that shadow looking like he just came from the ball.
I was giving the show a little benefit of the doubt. I thought maybe, here was my thought throughout that whole scene. I thought that it was her brother, but I thought that he was working with the Black Rose and was trying to get information out of Mel about Ambessa. That's what I thought, where it was headed. I thought he was going to be like, here's all these theories going around. What do you know, Mel? And then when she was like, I don't know anything, then you'd find out he was working with the Black Rose. Because, yeah, why wouldn't they have killed him? Because why would they have kept him alive other than, I thought, maybe to use against Mel? But whatever. Has she always had puzzle-solving skills?
Remember, she got that gift for that one guy after solving it real fast?
Yes, I remember that from season 1. I didn't know if that was like the only time we saw her like working with puzzles or whatever.
Well, she's also good at figuring things out.
Right. But apparently she might have wizard powers.
She might be a wizard.
She might be a mage. She might be...
You're a wizard, Mel.
Which, that's... How? Why? The show hasn't told us yet, but she just might have abilities.
It's magic, Rachel. It's magic. It doesn't have to be explained.
Well, they should give some foundation to it. It just can't be like, oh, by the way, you're part stork. Like, what? How does that work?
Why does the carpet in Aladdin fly?
Because it's tied to the Cave of Wonders and the curse around the treasure. There is an explanation to it. I'm just saying. I would expect that they're going to tell. So, okay, yes or no question, because you know more about this backstory with the Noxian stuff and everything there. Do you think that the half sibling that they're talking about is Mel or someone else?
Well, we just saw Mel use.
But they're saying it was Mel's the child that they were looking for. But they thought it was the brother at first.
Yes.
But it's not. But she's supposedly the product of an affair. Supposedly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense because she doesn't really have like the Noxian mindset.
Well, and she doesn't really look like Ambessa, to be honest. Like the brother looked more like Ambessa, but Mel doesn't really at all. And so I just thought Mel looked like her dad, which we don't know who that is. So it's like, okay. So, but the rumor is that she's the kid they've been looking for that possibly has powers. And now they've found her, which if I were Ambessa and I knew Mel had these powers,
well,
does she not know that Mel has these powers?
She probably doesn't think Mel has the powers, but she thinks she has the potential to get those powers.
Well, I would have thought she'd been watching her a little bit more closely if she knew there was a chance Mel had these abilities.
If she was watching Mel, that'd be letting them know
that she knew that she had the power.
Yeah.
So she was just hoping that they wouldn't catch on, and
she was hoping that she could get enough of an advantage with the Hex Tech that by then they could start going with getting Mel there because they have weapons to make them back off.
Right. So she was trying to play it safe, basically, and it backfired horribly.
Yeah.
Okay. That does make more sense because at first I was like, well, why would you want to just like let her, like, stay away, Mel? I'm like, what if she's being a target? But I guess if they're following Ambessa, then she's like, yeah. I would have had a little bit more, I would have beefed up security more than just Alora than the one lady. But, and maybe that's why she wanted Jayce around her, because she's like, well, Jayce could possibly use the hex tech to...
Well, he was the only one who had hex tech.
True. I do like the chamber that they're kept in. It reminded me of like the Obelisk from Labyrinth a wee bit. I also like the idea of them using the shadows and mimicking her brother.
See? Look at his clothing.
I thought he was working with them, but I didn't think he was dead, and then I was proven wrong. So, there you go.
Looked like he came fresh from the ball.
Mm-hmm. So then we have them going down to see Vander, and Vi sees the mural, and Jinx is like, I can't help that people have made me a... The only thing that kind of bugged me a wee bit was Jinx being like, I'm a hero, and I'm like, but you...
To the people is on, she is.
She is, but Jinx caused a lot of the problems that led to all that going down.
No.
I know they don't know, but I'm just kind of like, Jinx, you should own up to the fact that you are the responsibility of a lot of the issues that happened.
And she's not saying she isn't.
Right. She just kind of was like...
She's letting them make their own decisions.
I just think that her saying, I'm a hero, I'm like, but you're not, because you caused the problems that you had to clean up your own mess. So I wouldn't be going around being like, I'm a hero when you're not. You just, I'm like, if she hadn't been, I found it a little hypocritical, but that was the only moment in the episode I was like, girl.
Well, it doesn't help that Saviko has been running an ad campaign.
An ad campaign, yeah. I do appreciate Jinx wanting to go after Vander, though, and working really hard to convince Vi that they should do that. Also, would not have ate the mushrooms. Wouldn't have ate that shit. Like she
I
was
would have let the kid eat it first.
I wouldn't have ate it though. I'm like, girl, what if that makes you sprout wings or something later on? What if that happens? I mean, it could happen. Crazier things have happened. Mel's a wizard, so now all bets are off. Jayce, how do you feel about the fact that your two lovers are both supernatural beings? How do you feel about that? How does it feel to be a himbo sandwich between two supernatural beings? How's that work out for you? How's that go? And then one thing I am glad is that they didn't try like when Vi and Jinx were fighting with one another. I'm glad they finally talked it out. They finally like communicated with one another, talked it out, and they did like what they did when they were kids and they just fought each other. And I mean, the whole series has paralleled Silco and Vander with Vi and Jinx. So them fighting. My thing was, I was glad that when the kid jumped on Vi and got clocked in the face, because I'm like, you bit Vi. What'd you think was going to happen, kid? If you jump in the middle of a fight, you're bound to get hit. I'm glad they weren't like, oh, Jinx, or Vi, you shouldn't have hit her. It's like, no, she totally that kid got what was coming to her. And luckily it wasn't like made a big deal of. But I'm glad they finally talked things out. Do you think she's going to keep her hair black like that the entire time? Or do you think...
I think it might change back.
Might change back now that she's not in the fighting rings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love the parallels between... So, Jinx and Vi, they're both full sisters, right?
Yeah. They
both have the same dad, right? The flashback we saw was just when she was pregnant with Vi.
Yeah.
Right. And that's that. When the woman Felicia or Felicity or whatever her name is, we'll see, I think it was Felicia, when she had the same voice actors as Jinx, I'm like, oh, that's the mom. That's her. And of course her hair's purple. And then you have blue and red. Did we ever see what the dad looked like? Was that in season 1? I think we just saw their dead bodies.
I think we just saw their bodies.
Yeah. But I kind of was hoping that, like, Vander was Vi's dad and Silco was Jane. That would have been too on the nose and too weird. But there was a part of it.
No, they're just uncles.
They're just the uncles. Yeah.
It's Grunkle Vander and Grunkle Silco.
Grunkle Silco and Grunkle Vander were just the two godfathers to Vi and Jinx. They're the two spiritual fathers, the godfathers, if you will.
Now I can't help but think how that series would have gone if he'd found that note, gone back to them before, like, the bridge burning thing.
Yes!
And been like the Grunkle that was like, all right, kids, go blow up the bridge.
I kind of like the way that flashback, it was so well done. I would have watched a whole series of just Vander and Silco and Felicia and them in Zon just doing random things. Like, I would have watched a whole episode that was just that flashback. that was just them in their heyday, in their golden era. Like, we got just a taste of what their friendship was like. Like, I would have watched a whole episode of just that scene. It was so good. So you were talking about the runes in there? The runes in the mines? That's what those little puffy mushrooms are?
Yeah, because it was the same light that was coming from the...
That's in, like, where Jace and Salo were talking. Yeah, it's just all... So do we think that that's natural, or has that happened because of them messing with the runes and the arcane and all of that? It's, like, affecting...
Yeah,
like,
now it's spreading out to the tree as well, because that's something that happens to trees. Mushrooms and stuff will steal nutrients from them.
It reminded me a lot... Have you seen... I just watched it recently. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, the Ghibli movie from the 80s.
I think so. Where
it's, like, the spores and stuff, and it's, like, dystopian. And they're, like, at the very beginning, like, their garden starts to get infested by the spores. It looks a lot like the hex core and stuff. So it reminded me a lot of that scene. So Ambessa, she's like, I want you to work for me and do everything I want, and I'll just give you I'll help resurrect your daughter if you help me get the Black Rose, is basically what she's saying.
You help me make weapons, I give you a lab, and don't ask questions about what you're working on in secret. Just as long as you don't turn whatever you're making on.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we see him carrying the daughter from, but what we don't know, or what I don't know at this point, is what happened to her and why she's in the little status tube. But do you know?
He said it. Death.
Oh, well, she just died. We just don't know how she died, is what we don't know. But he's like, I was able to make strides impossible with any other species. Yep, and I do like this represented by a lantern. Like, lanterns represent knowledge a lot as symbolism. So I think that's cool that he has the lantern of the green light. And it's the chemicals. Interesting! So then we had all the flashbacks. So we had Silco, and it looks like he came at him. Like, Silco was coming at him in the flashback.
Well, they got into a big fight before Silco got his...
All that happening with... Oh, yeah. With... the fire and everything. And there was Silco. Okay. And him in the river. Okay, and there was... Felicia, and we assume the guy is right there. We just can't see him as well. Uh-huh. And then him going back through the soldiers and everything. Yep. And I like the tie to the blood, too. That's tying to, like, him back on the bridge and, like, all the dead bodies and everything, and that scent of blood, like, affecting him. But then he sees Powder, which is Felicia's kid, and also...
And now he's getting flashbacks of Vi.
Uh-huh. And then
that was Felicia.
Oh, wow. So the blisters in Bedrock, and we see Silco where he's messed up from the bridge, right?
Messed up from their fight.
Yeah.
Where he got... dumped in water, that's why he's got the wet head.
Yeah, oh, wow. Oh, that's so good. All the imagery and symbolism is so good in this episode. This episode was great. Yeah, okay, and then the moment that she's like, wait, you're not my brother. So, okay, she back there was talking about Ambessa had the affair. And so this is basically what the Black Rose has been trying to find out. But they don't say who the affair is with, right? No, they don't say who the affair is with. And Mel's like, what? An affair? My mom wouldn't do that.
No, it's the fact that she fell in love.
I like Ambessa fall in love? What?
General Hardass?
Uh-huh. And then whatever that child inherited is of terrible interest to the Black Rose. Okay. So the magic that she has inside of her. Interesting. So we find out that he's the creator of Shimmer, which we knew. But Caitlin now knows that he was the doctor that created it. And Caitlin does not have a great impression of him.
And she went through the Academy archives and found out who he was.
Mm-hmm.
A disgraced Academy alchemist.
That old shtick, the old exiled alchemist, you know. We've got all the stuff in the formaldehyde pots. Now, there was like a head in the one jar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was the wolves that he used. And then there was like a yardle. And there's a possum.
Yordle.
A yordle. Yes, thank you.
Oh, not a...
And then they're like... And then there was one head in the jar. Yeah. So there's a head there. Which that was the guy from season 1 that was addicted to the shimmer that he killed. That was that. Okay, I was trying to figure out who he was. I was
Deckard.
like, Deckard. Yeah, that was Deckard in the jar. And then he takes us to the magical mystery pod with his daughter in it. That looks like a...
Well, it gives her some orange Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was like, if I was Ambessa and Caitlyn, as he's going into this mysterious room that he's kept secret from me and has this mysterious jar of mysterious liquid, he's like, don't mind me.
Well, he can barely walk. She's got a loaded gun pointed at him.
But I'm still like, you're not going to question the mystery liquid he's injecting into the pod? We're not going to... He just brought back a giant wild wildebeest made out of a man. We're not going to question what he's doing?
He's not going to turn his own daughter into a monster.
Oh, you say that. But this is like Frankenstein. This is like classic Frankenstein shit.
He would have already taken her out of the thing and started surgically replacing her parts with...
Well, I'm saying that there's no telling what he might do now that he knows that Vander's a success.
But he needs to study how he was a success.
Right, but I'm just saying, she could become Bride of Frankenstein over here.
Well, he's got to know how Frankenstein worked first.
Right, and that's why they were trying to get back the monster. I did like his line where he talked about that people would do anything to save those that they loved, which is this series in a nutshell. Everybody's making decisions based on people they care about, for better or worse. So I thought that was a really good line. So yeah, she starts connecting all these runes, and then the moment that guy comes up from behind her, I'm like, nope. Give Jayce this credit. Jayce, just bashed Silo possibly over the back with an axe. She just cracked this person's head into the wall, y'all. And then, oh, that's so creepy. Oh, it's so creepy. I'm excited to learn more about the Black Rose and what its deal is. Why they want Mel. I love that the cave looks like a rose. I love anything rose themed. I'm instantly on board with. But the fact that she can also do this magic, I want to know more. I'm super excited. We had high hopes for him. Okay. Interesting. But then your mother led us to you. Sister is interesting. So it's a possibility that she's related to them. I know, you can't tell me yet. It's killing my brother. It's killing him slowly. But they called her sister, so I don't know if it's one that the whoever the Black Rose is are part of her family on the side that Ambessa got with, because Ambessa would never admit to it. Or if it's one of those things I know they just did the Acolyte with it in Star Wars, but it's from a 1980s Star Wars novel where there's the sisterhood, and they're all a bunch of Force-using witches that are able to use Force lightning like Palpatine.
Don't bring up Star Wars.
Shut up! No! It's from the 80s. Have you not read it?
They made the TV show. They ruined it.
No, it's The Marriage of Princess Leia. It's such a good story.
Good story. Horrible production.
Look, we're not going to talk about Star Wars, but I'm just saying that the sisterhood in that story remind me a lot of the Black Rose, except they use blood magic instead of Force lightning. They seem a lot similar to that, so we'll just have to see what happens with Mel. Lots of reds used in this, but we finally get Vander. We get to go into a little room there. And then I love that Jinx seeing the jackets, one's Silco's and one's Vander's. That part was nice. It's been sad seeing how much Jinx reveres Silco and Vander, and it felt like Jinx was finally figuring out exactly realizing that yeah, these two are friends. And putting two and two together and saying, if they hadn't separated, then they could have done good things together if they hadn't let their squabbles break them apart, right? I felt like Journey's Separate Ways was playing in the background. So do you agree with that? Do you think that maybe Jinx seeing this is okay, Vi, you and I need to stick together if we're going to get through this?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. But... last episode, I thought they were going to have to kill Vander together, and that seems to not be the case. They're actually, what if we didn't kill him? What if we made him hang out with us and be our guardian deity werewolf? What if we do that? But you are correct in that if they are together with Vander being we'll solve all the problems together, Caitlyn's going to shit a brick and be you're working with Jinx now? And then it's going to just be this big thing.
That's not even mentioning if any of those prisoners got out and told everybody about the monster werewolf.
Right. So it could end up being Jinx and Vi against the world. Because you could have, even though Jinx is seen as the hero of Zon, if they find out about the werewolf and look negatively on that, they might be like, no. And if Savika finds out, how's she going to react to it? And then Vi and Caitlyn will be like, well, now. And I'll be like, well, you're with that trollop, so. You're fine now. You know, I would support Jinx and Vi being sisters together more than Vi and Caitlyn at this point, because I think it's in their best interest for Vi and Jinx to be together. But I love this scene with them coming together. It's so good. And reading the letter. When she died, I lost my head. I told myself what I did to you was for the greater good, that you deserved it. But the dirt was on both of our hands, which is like essentially between Jinx and Vi, like the same damn thing from season 1. Like this, the mistakes that happened between Silco and Vander are exactly what happened between Jinx and Vi, and now they get to see that past repeating itself, and they're like, "What if we didn't do that again?" I love the blisters and bedrock sign, and you can tell Jinx doesn't want to repeat it. Like she doesn't want to lose Vi like she lost Silco, obviously. But what'd you think of Vander's werewolf hug? Oh, I love that shot of Vi. Again, what's also good about this is that if
Vi wasn't there, he would have grabbed the kid.
Because he was after the kid because of the blood. The whole time he was after that kid because of the blood. And the kid is not Vi or Jinx, so he would have killed the kid if they hadn't been there. Yeah. And that is a good point, because I think Jinx was so ready to just accept Vander and be like, oh, it's Vander, he's Warwick, it's fine. Because she, in that moment, isn't protecting Isha. It's Vi that's doing it. So that shot is maybe my favorite shot of the whole episode, is of him reaching towards her, and Vi being like, no. But that's such a damn good shot. One of my friends on Facebook was like, he said every frame of Arcane is like a damn painting. And I'm like, you could hang it up. And I'm like, that's so true. And so I like that at first Vi was like, he's going to kill us. We've got to stop him. Also, he healed himself, didn't he? Yeah, because she like punched his jaw out and it went right back. Like immediately. Went right back.
Yeah, he has passive lifesteal.
What does that mean?
The more he attacks somebody, the more he heals.
Oh, well, that's terrifying. I could see why you would enjoy that in a game. That would be a great move to have if that was the case. Wow. So, oh man. I do like this battle scene between him and Vi so much, but I'm glad that in the end Jinx is like, look, if you just accept him, that it's fine. And poor Isha's down there like terrified. And then she let it. I love the transition of him realizing it's her to the jukebox. Because Felicia like has Jinx's voice, but she looks a lot like Vi in that moment. Also seeing young Vander and young Silco, they look so good. And they're just
one's being the bartender, the other one's doing the books.
Yeah, like it's such a good...
It shows what they were. He was a front man, and he was the man with the brain. And Silco was the man with the brains.
Mm-hmm. I feel kind of bad, because I know that they're friends with Felicia, but it's clear they both liked her a lot. But they were both nice enough to be like, okay.
Seems more like they treated her like a sister.
Yeah, I guess more like a sister would be that she was like a sister to them. And they were the two godfathers. I love when immediately she says, oh yeah, I'm going to have a kid. And he's like, nope, no more alcohol for you.
Wait, does she drink?
I think she did, but then she took like one drink and then he was like, no, which isn't enough to, do it. But he was like, no more.
And he's like, I'm number one.
And he actually has like a little coffee cup. Like he has the drink there, but then he has a coffee cup like he's not actually drinking. Because they're like, oh, no more for you.
Oh, she still had it in there. She didn't drink.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the same kind of drink Jinx had.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Oh, that's good. It's so cool because her design, you can kind of see, and there's that book of Silco's. Her design is like Jinx and Vi put together, like you can see it. I love this whole scene of them. It's so good. And also, see, that was my thing, because Vander has the blue eyes and Silco has the green eyes. When we saw him with the green and blue eye, that's why I thought that it had both Silco and Vander in him. But it's just Vander. But that's why I thought it at first, because like, oh, he's got one of each of their eyes. But it's the chemicals from the Chemtech. Interesting.
And now she's roped both of you into being uncles.
She's roped both of them into being uncles, whether they like it or not. I love Blisters and Bedrock. And then, yeah, seeing the two of them hug it out. Ugh!
And then Vi's like, get over here while I'm not pissed at you.
Yeah, I know! That part was so good, where she's like, he's your dad too. Oh, that part was really good. I like the shimmer tear that like came down partly as well. That part was so good. I love that. Oh, it's just two girls and their half-dead werewolf uncle.
Uncle father figure.
Uncle father figure.
And adopted
little sea urchin. An adopted little street urchin, you know. This is the most functional, dysfunctional family ever. Okay, so can we talk about Sallow? Can we talk about the time skip? So Sallow went and saw Viktor, had his life changed, saw the light, met Jesus, and then he's coming here. We're going to break this scene down because I was like, what?
He just casually strolled into one of the most secure places.
Yes! I was like, casually strolled in because at first I was like...
Go back a little bit.
Okay.
Go back.
Because it's got the stuff on there.
It's got the wild rune on the end there.
Yeah, it's got... Yeah, so it's already...
It's already corrupting.
Yeah. And so he takes that out. Because I saw that the wild... And it's on there too. On the side of it. So yeah, he walks out. Sallow does, and his legs are fixed. And he also... So now Viktor can also telepathically speak through the people he's healed? Did I give him permission for the Wi-Fi access? That seems like you're hacking the Wi-Fi on everybody there.
That comes with the package. You sign the deal, you get the new Chrome, but in exchange, he's allowed to look into your mind and speak through it.
Oh, yeah! Because then when he was like, oh, Sallow, you're still here, right? And he's like, yep. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's just there. He's just letting Viktor take the wheel for a little bit.
Yeah, but that is some...
You know the song, Let Jesus Take the Wheel?
Take it from my hands. Okay, so there was the light. So the arc, so that all up there in the, like this all up here, right above that lights up when Sallow, so yeah, does that. Okay.
Because Jayce is coming back.
So yeah, we don't know where Jayce has been. We get transported to this other sphere, this other dimension for a hot second. And I wanted to see this. So there's the rune, the arcane, whatever it is. You know, I don't yet. But Sallow's like, oh, hell, in his Dune outfit. And then all the mysterious workings of the little rune going around. Okay, and then they're
pulling him back together from the multiple timeline thing that he went through.
Do we know that? We don't know that for sure, though. We just assume.
No, we know it, like, maybe thousands
We
of
saw
them.
all the infinite mirrors, right? All the versions. So, yeah. So there's all this coming together to make him. But there's so much, like the hammer is now this starfish looking thing that looks kind of like a Demigorgon. It's so weird.
Warped a little bit.
It's a little bit. It looks like a damn Starmie. Like a little bit. So there's that. Okay, there's that warped. Then his arm has this like gemstone corrupted into it. He has like a literal gem infused into his body.
One of his hex techs.
Like a hex tech infused into his body. Why is it infused into his body? We don't know yet. And his hands are grimy like he's been working on stuff. And then he has Viktor's leg braces.
Showing that he broke his leg.
Showing that he broke his leg. And he's like got them all like fused together there. And also his beard has grown out. Also, I'm just going to say, why hasn't this been here from the start?
Because he was a politician and he needed to be clean shaven.
You can't have daddy energy if you're a politician, apparently, because where was this hot, gruff woodsman, Jayce? Why have I been getting 5 o'clock shadow 20-year-old Jayce? This is like 28 and has been stuck in the woods fishing and making buildings out of log cabins. Where's this been? You don't share the shipping with me, but I'm shipping this a lot right now. This is the Jesus Carpenter look. That's what we're going over here.
That's also a skin you can get in the game.
Well, I'm sure it's sold out, obviously.
Oh, no, it's around for a while.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, this is the best Jayce has ever looked. Ragged and haggard and stuck inside this rune for who knows how long. It's the best he's looked the whole damn series. I've discovered things about myself in this episode, bro. Yeah, he looks great. Victor, you should go meet him. You should see him. I think you would appreciate this, honestly.
But Victor's busy, so Jayce has to go to him.
That is true. He's like, come and see me, Jayce. I'm too busy healing everyone. And just, So yeah, and then Sallow has like all of these like points on his head where he's been welded together. Everything's great. Oh, is it like his handprints where he like touched him maybe? Is like the handprint on his head? And then Jayce is like, I've been through the ringer, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can see there's thumb.
Yeah, there's the whole handprint. Okay, so there was the handprint there. I'm going to try to... I want to go back and get that moment because he looked, there was a flash there for a second. I want to try to catch it. Because, yeah, there's the handprint on his head. Oh! That's freaky as shit. That's freaky as shit. It looks like a big mask with a crown with blood coming off of it. Nope. That looks terrifying. Okay. Cool. And Jayce is like, what? Okay, cool. Also, I want us next episode to go back and be like, what happened with Jayce? How did he get this way? What is going on? He's clearly fused with the Hex Tech, so he's going to be getting these visions and everything as well. Does he know he signed up to have his Wi-Fi infiltrated? Does he know that?
Which one?
Because Jayce has, like, the stuff in his arm. I'm like, is Viktor going to be able to, like, tap into that?
Well, no, I think it's different.
It's like a different Hex Tech?
Yes. Same tech, different providers.
Different wireless service.
Yeah. He signed up for the Viktor package.
Oh, my God.
And that includes occasionally getting your body hacked by a German Jesus.
I think he's Slavic.
Slavic genius. Jesus.
Yeah, I also like how the animation makes Sallow adopt Victor's body language while he was talking with Jayce. It's really good. Also, if I were Jayce, to be fair for Jayce, I'd be quite confused because when Viktor left, he was wrapped up in his little blankie and he was like, look, this isn't going to work between us. I got to go. I told you not to use the tech, but you're using the tech. We need to part on artistic differences. Bye. And then the next time you see him is when he's like, actually, this was an amazing idea. I am so glad this happened. We should totally work together and solve all the world's problems. I'd be a little bit wary of that. I'd be like, didn't you just leave me because this was a bad idea? And now Jayce is like, didn't we just what?
Yeah, it's like all your friends go to the scary cave. One friend goes, let's not go in, let's not go in. Oh, wait, if you go to the end of this cave, there's like $50 million. Let's go to the
cave! Yeah! I'm like, oh. I also kind of feel bad if Jayce kills Sallow and Sallow just was like, I owe Viktor everything. Jayce looks quite menacing in that frame. Like, he looks a bit menacing, to say the least.
Well, we don't know where he's been. We don't know what's happened to his mind.
We don't know about Heimerdinger and Echo. Yeah, we don't know, like, what has Jayce seen in the void. He's been there a while, long enough to grow out a beard and his hair to grow out. So he's been there at least a year, 6 months to a year, at least.
In the span of what could be like a month.
Yeah, we don't know how time.
Weeks.
We don't know how time works. This could have been like a day. We don't know how time works in this other dimension. So he could have been gone for what was years, and it's been like a week in this realm. And we don't know what Heimerdinger and Echo are doing. We don't know what Jayce has found out. We don't know what's been going on. I'm hoping they tell us because I want to backtrack next episode to Heimerdinger and Echo because we didn't get them at all until this moment. And be like, what the hell happened in the rune? What have they seen? What's been going on? He's been clearly warping the hammer. How's that work? Yeah, and he's like, well, you can see what we've accomplished. And Jayce is like, actually, this is a bad thing. And he's like, hex text isn't a miracle, it's a
Which is
curse.
a far cry from what he used to say.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, I've been dealing with this curse for a while. We should probably get rid of it. And Viktor's like, oh. I love that slip of his shoulders. He's like, you seem different. And it's like, yeah, what has been going on? Something happened. And Jayce's look is like, yeah, something happened. And I want to know what that something is. And then he says, oh, you've touched the Arcane, which is this big globule thing. So he says your mind suffered. But Jayce is like, oh, bitch, you don't even know. You don't even know. So then Sallow's the one that tells him that he should go see Viktor. Interesting. My thing is, why didn't Jayce just grab the two things from him? Because he's like, I can't let you leave. And he's like, oh, sorry about that. Okay, I want to see. Yeah, he brings the hammer down. Do we think that he dies or just evaporated and went sploosh? Because it looks like he almost vanished. But then there's blood.
He could have swapped with something.
He could have swapped with something or... But that look on Jayce's face makes it look like he disappeared. Like, Jayce doesn't look like, oh, I killed someone. It looks like he just disappeared or... Ah! Why are they gonna make us wait? What do you think is going to happen next episode? Do you think we're going to go back to Echo and Heimerdinger and Jace?
I think we're going to see what happened to those three.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get Jayce tracking down Viktor.
Mm-hmm.
We may get a little bit more with the dysfunctional family.
Here's my thing. What do you think the dysfunctional family is going to do? Because, like, they have Vander, but they can't really do anything with him.
I think they've already shown us.
Okay.
Who's healing people down there in the underground?
Well, Viktor. So do you think all roads are going to lead to Viktor?
Yep.
And you think Viktor is going to try... They're going to try to ask Viktor to heal Vander? Okay. I could definitely see that. I could see them, like, trying to navigate from Caitlyn stopping them, Piltover stopping them. Because now you have Singed and Mbessa want Vander as Warwick. Caitlyn will want to kill Warwick and get Jinx. And then you'll have all of them trying to get through Zaun and navigate the people who think Jinx is a celebrity. So it's like, how do you do all that? And possibly will be mad at her if they find out that Vander's responsible for the deaths. And then, so you have all that and they're trying to get to Viktor, which will conveniently coincide with Jayce and Heimerdinger and Echo getting to Viktor, and all parties could converge together, and then...
Because we already know that the more they use Hex Tech, the more the tree suffers.
Right, so they're going to want to try to stop that.
And Viktor's just throwing that stuff.
Well,
like
yeah!
Like he's Oprah. You get Hex Tech! You get Hex Tech! You get Hex Tech!
Yeah, if Viktor doesn't know about the tree and the fact that it's affecting it, then there's no telling what it's like now that he's been doing all that. The tree could be dead.
Or close.
Or close to being dead, yeah. And then the whole thing, the only part that hasn't connected, like I can see the whole thing with Mel and the Black Rose seems like it's its own little thing, and I still think it's going to tie to the next season. And
they're not doing another season.
Well, but I mean, if they do like an alter, like a spinoff.
Possible.
If they do a spinoff. But now it's like, is it going to be like Mel versus Viktor, or is it going to be like, are they going to tie her to stopping Mbessa, or she like takes Mbessa with her back to the dimension, or her storyline is the only one that I haven't seen how it can converge with everybody else's yet, but, and her being like, why am I wizard? But maybe we'll find out next episode with that. This episode was really good. Which episode's your favorite so far?
Episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Warwick come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really liked this episode a lot as far as being surprising. This one and 4 and 5 maybe. The second act's my favorite so far. I really like episodes 4 and 5 quite a bit. Episodes 1 through 3 are good, but this one and 4 and 5 are probably my favorites so far. I did like 3 a lot, but yeah. Yeah, and 2, this whole season's good, but episode 2 is really good. We're going to have to rank them at the end. of the 9. But episode 2 with Viktor was really good too. So, but yeah, 4 and 5. Act 2 is my favorite so far. So, cool. Well, we've talked a while about this, but I'm very curious to know y'all's thoughts down below. So we hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about episode 6. And we'll see you all there for the end of Act 2. I mean, what could happen? Last time, end of Act 2, what was the worst that happened?
Let's see. Jinx went a little crazy.
Right.
Silco was losing control.
Yep. Things just kind of went in the gutter a little bit last time. I'm sure nothing like that will happen with this story.
Then they started to get a little bit of hope just for Jinx to pentakill it.
Yep. So we'll see where that goes. But we'll talk to you all next week. Have a good one. Stay safe. Take care. And we'll see you all for episode 6 of Arcane. Bye.